fun. So I've seen this guy before. He does tech stuff. And so this is Tech Fails. We love seeing tech rips. We love seeing these funny tech stuff. So I think we are in for a bit of a laugh. I am ready. Chat, are you ready? Are you ready? Let me shrink down so I'm not completely obstructing you. You, 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 you. Small cat girl. All right. Are we ready, chat? And my cat is like she's looking to jump onto my desk. Good, she did not. Okay. Here we go.
Welcome to the top 17 stupidest tech fails of all time. So dumb, in fact, that I'd be impressed if you managed to make it through this video without wanting to smack your head against a wall. Or cook it. Because at number 17 is Hasbro's Easy Bake Oven. And the only thing that you really need to know about it is that it is an actual working oven made for children. So of course, we're gonna try it. So you rest your cake on the edge here, you push it in with this.
Okay.
I can't believe this is a real product. You probably won't be surprised then to find out that the Easy Bake Oven had to be urgently recalled after 5 kids managed to get their fingers trapped in the door and burnt from the
Oh my god, I did not hear about this. I didn't hear about. Holy shit. Their fingers got trapped in it? Oh my god. Yeah, that's horrifying. I mean, if you're a kid, I'm sure it's actually probably a hell of a lot easier than you think. Wow.
inside of the oven. And not just surface level burns, deep 3rd degree burns from not being able to get them out. Hasbro did then offer a free grate for parents to attach to their models to stop any further fingers going through, except turns out it wasn't such a great idea, because quite possibly in the process of trying to install the grate, a further 77 kids managed to get easy baked. Monumentally stupid idea, but I'll only give this a 2 out of 10 fail because it does seem like Hasbro has finally swooped in and made it almost impossible to singe yourself in the latest models.
How was the Easy Bake Oven cooking stuff? I thought it was just like a really hot light bulb. Like, I thought that the quote-unquote cooking element in an Easy Bake Oven, because I've never had a heating lamp. So it uses a heating lamp light. Holy shit, that's hot. Yeah, Ace, that will do it. Wow. Shit.
Maybe I'll downgrade it at the end if the cake sucks. Number 16, on the subject of food, Apple. Most people think that the iPhone was Apple's first ever smart device when it exploded onto the scene in 2007. That's because they want you to forget their actual first attempt, the Apple Newton in 1993. It was the first to call itself a personal...
Yep. And the Apple Newton, I can't recall if it came out at the same time. But the Apple Newton, I'm reasonably sure, was a competitor for Palm Pilot. Because I feel pretty sure that Palm released the Palm Pilot around the time that Apple released the Newton. But Palm was much smaller, and I'm pretty sure had more function as well. I want to say it came out around the same time. The original Blackberries, maybe. But yeah, like let me see. When did Palm Pilot release? Hang on. I want to see if I'm right. Alright, so the Palm Pilot released. Okay, he said that the Newton released when? Hang on.
First attempt, the Apple Newton in 1993. It was
okay. So the Apple Newton did come first. The Apple Newton did come first because the Palm Pilot came out in 1996. So the Palm Pilot came out 3 years after the Apple Newton did. So maybe the Newton did pioneer it. Apple may have indeed pioneered it. let's see. I know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anything else came out in conjunction because HP's. I'm reasonably sure because HP's was color, so that came out later. HP's Home Pilot came out probably about. It came out probably a few years after Palm Pilot first launched. Wait, hang on. There was one other one. Hang on. Hang on. Let me find it. I'm trying to remember. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. For the life of me, I cannot remember what the hell this thing was called, and it's going to bother the shit out of me. So hang on. Damn it. What was? There it is. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Handspring. Oh, but they came out even later, so never mind. They came out in 1998. So, never mind. Okay. It was Handspring that I was thinking of. That basically copied the style of Palm Pilot, essentially. Okay. So Apple did kind of come up pioneer this, and then everyone else did it better until Apple came out with the iPhone, and then it all went crazy.
First, to call itself a personal digital assistant, or PDA. It could store your contacts, manage your calendar, it even came with a stylus inside of it for handwriting notes, and it was basically being sold as the way to have an organized life.
Okay, handwriting notes is a bit generous because I think you could handwrite notes if you wanted to, but it was very awkward to do so, as was the quote unquote typing, because to quote unquote type using the stylus, you had to draw each character in the word in a certain way in order for it to register the letter in question. And for handwriting, for anybody that's tried to do handwriting on a smartphone, you know how much of a pain in the ass that is. So, but for the time, for 1993, it was a significant technological leap. Yeah, pressure activated touchscreens. Yep. Yeah, I mean this was a technological leap for the time.
Actively helps you as you capture, organize, and communicate your ideas and information.
Except that if you bought one, you were almost guaranteeing the opposite. I've just realized the date is set to 1994. I wasn't born then. The Newton's key selling point was that it could understand your handwriting, but the product came out 20 years before the tech was good enough to do that. Okay, so, hello, my name is Aaron. Hello, my non is Rid.
Okay, I was not expecting that. That's actually he's laughing. But for 1993, that's not bad. I mean, let's see that watch. Let's watch again. This isn't bad.
Years before the tech was good enough to do that. Okay, so, hello, my name is Aaron. Hello, my non is...
If he'd actually printed that instead of doing kind of more script, it probably would have captured the letters more accurately. That's actually because I've had opportunities to play with the old handsprings, the handspring Palm Pilots, and I think an HP one, and the handwriting recognition on that, there was none. And this came out before then. This is actually kind of impressive, I'm gonna be honest. This is actually pretty impressive. That it captured it as well as it did, considering his handwriting.
Rid. Get rid of you. Oh yeah, and it also cost $1,400 in today's money. 3 out of 10 fail.
In today's money. That's not, like, obvious. It's a little disingenuous to say in today's money because we are talking about a product that is over 30 years old. But yeah, it's clunky. It's clunky, that's for sure.
Man, I feel like I'm getting stupider as this video goes on. So, you might have heard that Tesla's electric cars are absolutely flying right now. There's a 2-year waiting list for them here in the UK. But it's kind of strange because at the same time, one of their key main selling points, their so-called full self-driving mode, is kind of a lie. See, there's a big difference between full-on self-driving and just driver assist. One actually drives the car for you, which would be a game changer. And the other just means that you sit in the same seat as normal, you pay full attention to the road as normal, and the only actual difference is that instead of holding your hands on the wheel, you just hold them slightly off the wheel, but ready to take it should anything go wrong, which, to make matters worse, has happened a lot during their public beta testing. 3 out of 10 fail. Advertising the car as self-driving, charging people extra to buy the feature, but then using the fact that it's still in beta as a cover-up for whenever there's an incident seems a little dodgy to me.
Now, if you spend a reasonable amount of time on the internet, there's a pretty good chance you came across the Grand Theft Auto 6 footage that recently leaked. Info leaks from big video game publishers all the time, but this one in particular was at a whole new scale. The hacker managed to acquire over 90 video files of this top secret unannounced game, probably the most anticipated game ever. He leaked hours of not yet ready to show gameplay for the world to see, which has greatly hampered the public's perception of it, while also apparently stealing the entire source code, which could be worth hundreds of millions. It's almost...
Holy shit! He stole the whole source code for GTA 6. That's a fail. That is 100% a fail.
is Grand Theft Auto. And what makes the whole thing sting 10 times more is the fact that the suspect is currently believed to be a teenager who used a smartphone to do it. Someone at the GTA security team seriously dropped the ball on.
Well, okay, let's be honest. Kids are being introduced to tech at a much earlier age these days, and kids that are interested in tech are getting real goddamn smart when it comes to hacking. Like, they're getting smarter and smarter with every generation. When it comes to being able to hack, yeah, the fact that he was able to hack it from a smartphone, it's impressive. But from the scaling we've seen and what each generation is capable of in terms of doing this, it's not unexpected.
On this one. But there is a company with a much more consistent reputation for miscalculations. Google. In fact, Google has had so many...
They're becoming more and more clever and cunning.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Many fails over the years that there is an entire website dedicated to hosting them, and it's got over 270 entries. But Google...
Okay, Talos, have a good night.
Google Plus stands out as probably their biggest flop of them all. It was Google's attempt at launching a social media platform.
Oh God, I remember Google Plus. Yeah, that was so sad. That they thought they actually could compete against Facebook. 'Cause it was probably only a couple of years after Facebook really went mainstream that Google decided we're going to try and compete and come out with Google Plus. Like, Facebook came into existence well before Google Plus, but it was only maybe a couple years after it went really mainstream. And I think this is also probably, it may have actually still been when MySpace was still around that Google decided to throw their hand into it. I'm pretty sure MySpace was still a thing at the time. Fucking hell. Oh God, my smart speaker just went off because I've been saying the G word. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Hang on, let me see. Research time. Okay. All right. Okay. So Facebook Facebook officially launched on 2004. That is when it officially launched. Now remember, I said when it really hit the mainstream. Like, Facebook really didn't come into its own as the dominant social media until, I would say, 2008. 2008, I think, is when Facebook really got, had domination. And then G+, because I don't want my fucking speaker to kick in again, came into play in 2011. So I'd say, I think it was probably about 4 years after Facebook hit, was big time mainstream, that Google decided to throw their hat into it and come out with G+. And I think it only lasted maybe 2 or 3 years before they shut it down. Maybe 2 or 3 years.
In 2011, with a unique selling point that they called circles. It allowed you to split your friends into the various social circles that they fall into for you. Your work friends, your gym friends, your exes, so that you can then post tailored things that specifically appeal to those groups of people. This was not a good idea. It ended up being such a burden on users, forcing them to manually sort every single person they added. And then on top of that, half the time it didn't even make sense to sort people. Like, many of your close friends are going to span many of your different circles. And so you're just left with this complex web of somewhat overlapping groups. At which point, Facebook's much simpler friend system, where you could just add someone once and that's it, was far more appealing. And so when you combine the fact that their key differentiator was just a hassle, with the fact that Google Plus was late to the game of social media, whilst also being late with just about every standard social media feature, like having a smartphone app that you could message people through, it's not surprising that it was also a plus-sized, very expensive 4 out of 10 failure.
Do you know what?
And here's the thing. Okay. I'm curious, chat. Your thoughts on this. Is Facebook, would you consider Facebook even much of a thing anymore in the social media space? Would you still consider Facebook a thing? Or have we now transitioned to Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram? Okay. Used all the time, only based on generation. Good for keep up people you already know, not for meeting anyone new. Okay. For Gen X boomers, still huge. You use family cakes, okay. Yeah, so like it has lost its growth. It definitely has lost its growth. They're still, I'd say, Facebook is still banking on, using it for obviously market hoovering. And of course, for anybody that gets the Quest, of course, you have to, they very, very, very strongly encourage you to link your Facebook account with it. But yeah, I would say, like, most of, like, the Gen Z and Gen Alphas, I'd say they don't use Facebook anymore. I'd say most of them don't use Facebook. They'll probably use Twitter, or they'll use Instagram, or they'll use TikTok. Yeah, unfortunately, Spartan, you're right. It is a hunting ground for scammers. Unfortunately. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting to see that, like, Facebook is kind of going the way of the dodo. A lot of, their user base is dwindling, and they're not getting new ones. Even their Twitter competition Threads, like, that crashed and burned. They couldn't keep up with it. So Facebook as a company is starting, I don't know. It's probably still doing really well because they're making all their money from selling all your data. That's what they were using to make their money anyway. But I'd say they're, yeah.
Never works. Celebrities using their vast amounts of money to build tech products. I mean, just look what happened with Soulja Boy when he tried to make a games console. The reality of it is, making a good tech product requires expertise and vision. neither of which Will.i.am had when he decided to make the Pulse smartwatch. Will.i.am came in very strong with this product. He told us how it wasn't just a companion to your smartphone, but that this was a smartphone with its own SIM card inside of it. But the product's astonishingly quick failure was very much deserved. It's 50% the fact that it looked, and more alarmingly felt, like a handcuff, with some reviewers even saying it sliced their wrists while putting it on, and the other 50% that.
And I will say, I had never heard of this device. I hadn't heard of Will.i.am's little smartwatch. I have no idea about it.
I don't know how he didn't see this coming, but there's absolutely no way you can do all the smartphone things you want to do on a 1.7-inch screen. It was being sold as this really slick, incognito way of
1.7-inch screen? What the fuck? You could barely tell the time on a 1.7-inch screen at this point. This is Will.i.am of Black Eyed Peas fame. Like, he came out with a smartwatch that sucked. And it looked like it was huge with a tiny screen.
Keeping up to date with your life, but the reality of it was you
Let's see if we
crouched
do a
over in
close-up
some
on it
alleyway,
again.
fumbling around with your.
Yeah, this is it right here. This is his smartwatch. Like, look how huge that body size is, and look how tiny the screen is.
Your oversized thumbs, trying to figure out how you were going to possibly type a complete sentence before wanting to burn this piece of junk. It was a great meme, but as a tech product, widely described as the worst thing I've touched all year. 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
But who would have thought that the biggest smartwatch fail, potentially ever, would actually come from Apple? We all know that Apple is no stranger to luxury, and that they've always been on the premium end in terms of price, but in
That was a good catch. That was a good catch. I could have easily seen him. I wonder how many takes it took him to make that catch. And how many phones he damaged dropping it.
2015, they really let their reputation get to their heads, when alongside their standard and sport model watches, they released the Apple Watch Edition, a line of hyper-premium $10,000 18-karat gold versions. They handed them out to big celebrities like Kanye West.
I don't remember this. I do not remember this, where they had solid gold Apple Watches. Only $10,000 for a goddamn Apple Watch. Yeah, you bet your ass this went to all the celebrities. Oh, and also, fun fact, a couple of years ago, I don't know if you heard about this, a couple of years ago, Apple actually had to shut down all production of, at the very least, their Apple Watch, I can't remember which generation. I think it might have been the 6 or the 7. And I think I think like their Plus or something. I forget which models, but they had to shut down all production because somebody claimed that Apple stole the copyright for the SPO2 monitor in the Apple Watch. And so for, I think it may have been at least 6 months, possibly longer, Apple could not make any smartwatches because of pending litigation due to this copyright claim. Oh, was it? So they must have gotten hit again. Was this last year? I thought it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, the Ultra. That's what I was thinking of. The Ultra. They yeah, since like, but I thought it was like 2 years ago. Like maybe it was the Apple Watch 7. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was sooner than that. But yeah, they had to literally shut down all production because of a copyright case in terms of the SPO2 reader. Oh, they've got hit multiple times. Well, okay, so when I'm thinking of, then they got hit again. Yeah, it seems like Apple's trying to steal a lot of tech from other people to stick in their own products. They're not the quote unquote innovation company all so much anymore. other than coming out with the M process, their in-house Apple Silicon chip for the processing, Apple has not really done a whole hell of a lot of innovating in probably the last 10 years. That ring, I don't foresee that ring coming to fruition. Although a lot of various different companies have been talking about doing a smart ring. I've heard a lot about that. Honestly, I don't see that taking off. I think that we're not going to see a lot of that. I think Apple is they'll probably do the same thing that they've been doing. They'll release a new model with slight upgrades to the hardware. The exterior is probably going to largely still look the same. Well, it's produced by a Chinese company. It was not designed by a Chinese company. And yes, exactly, Taisa. They are going to buy it because it's Apple, because for some reason people still think Apple is considered quote unquote premium and they charge prices for it. But their innovation has been significantly lacking. I don't think they're anywhere close to even, being in the same realm as bankruptcy, but they are not the innovators that they used to be. They've come along, they have fallen a long way from the innovativeness that really put them on the map.
West and Beyonce for marketing, this was going to be Apple's huge cash-in, a way to multiply their income beyond anything previously thought possible. But if you think about it for more than about 2 seconds, who wants to spend upwards of $10K on a smartwatch whose functionality, display, and battery will be instantly dated as soon as Apple releases the next model? Very few is the answer, since the Apple Watch Edition shipped in the low tens of thousands of units, which is bad for any major tech firm, but completely abysmal by Apple standards. The key thing they overlooked is that the smartwatch market is not like the normal watch market. The kinds of people who buy smartwatches are people who love tech, and someone who loves tech isn't going to sacrifice their ability to buy the next.
Well, Shadow, you are largely right, but Apple used to be about technological innovation. They used to be about that. That's what put them on the map. That's what made them such a huge company, is that they used to be about technological innovation. But then, when they hit basically the upper echelons of the technological food chain, they got complacent. And now they just remained fundamentally stagnant over the years. Like I said, the biggest innovation they had that I can think of is their own in-house Apple Silicon processor. And that was several years ago. That was the last thing that I can recall that was quote-unquote innovative.
Next 20 Apple Watches, just so they can afford one now that's a little bit shinier. Starting to smell this cake now. Quite excited to try it.
Now, with all the crazy developments in AI happening every day, like that.
Well, they've already got their own. They've already got their own like Apple Arcade, and in fact, their big claim when they were saying how MacBooks could quote unquote game, their examples were always Apple Arcade. Oh, funny story. Back in my old job, I had to sit in on a conference with people that were part of like Apple's marketing department, and they were talking about so the life of me I can't remember which model. I think it might have been back for when they were releasing the M1 chip. And so of course they were touting how great the new MacBook Airs with the M1 chip and the MacBook Pros with the M1 chip, and they were talking about how they can game and they can do all, like Apple Mac owners can now game on their laptops, but all of their examples involved the Apple Arcade, their own in-house gaming platform, which is kind of just maybe a step or two up from mobile gaming. When the time came down for QA, I asked them, I said, okay, all of your examples for quote unquote gaming have been about your Apple Arcade. How is this thing going to handle gaming in comparison to say a Windows computer with a discrete GPU? how is it going to be able to compete against that? They wouldn't answer my question. They would not answer my question when I asked them. So it's like, yeah, Apple can play games on their own platform, but it still can't game. Well, this was probably about, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. It's about 2 or 3 years. I think it was when I think it was when they released the M1 chip. I believe it's when they released the M1 chip. So, and yeah, well, Taser, WoW will run fine on it. Minecraft will run fine on a MacBook, but Minecraft will run on a potato. So, but yeah, I just found that very funny that one of their selling points, they refused to answer my honestly very simple question. I wasn't even asking them to get technical. It was just, how is it going to compare to, say, a Windows computer running an i5 with the like a 3060 RTX? And they wouldn't answer.
DALL-E website that can literally create any image you want by just typing it, it often feels like we're on the very brink of what's called the singularity, the point at which super intelligent AI becomes so intelligent that its actions can't be controlled or predicted by humanity. Think Skynet in Terminator or GLaDOS in Portal. But then every now and again you just see something that reminds you, maybe we're okay for a bit. Like the Nightscope K5, the fully autonomous outdoor security robot. It was designed to scope out potential criminals with a whole suite of sensors, video camera, thermal imaging, a distance measuring laser, radar, air quality sensors, even a detector for suspicious wireless signals. And then anything it picks up, it can alert to human security guards who can then take action. Problem was, the robot was its own biggest obstacle. Like in 2016, a K5 unit deployed at a shopping center in California decided to take the law into its own hands by directly tackling a perpetrator who happened to be a 16-month-old toddler.
I'm in danger!
And then in 2017...
Oh my god! I'm sorry, I know it's a toddler, but that's funny. It took down a kid. It took down a child. Oh god. James, I'm not sure. Maybe this is the next incident that he's talking about.
A drunk 41-year-old man proved just how tough these would-be Robocops are by knocking one over in a parking lot, where it stayed, because they don't have any way of picking themselves up. You'd think that at least one of the advantages of hiring a robot over a human security guard would be that they don't get tired or feel pain. Well, not these guys. Because later that year, it all seemed to just become a bit too much for one K5, who threw itself dramatically to its death, drowning in a mall fountain. I think the Robocalypse might be a little further away.
Snowman, the Daleks would be ashamed of this progenitor. This is the dropped on its dome one too many times Dalek.
Number 9 takes the dumbness to new heights. And we're back to Apple again. In fact, of all of Apple's misfires in recent history, you could argue that none have been greater than what Apple Maps was at launch. And it's not just that it was really...
Oh, I remember hearing about this. Yeah, the Apple Maps when they... Because Apple Maps, they first debuted this on... I can't remember if it was the first gen iPhone or not. Yeah, I can buy my smart speaker activated when I was talking about G+. This is this was their 3D topography. This was I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if Apple Maps launched with the first iPhone or if it took a couple generations before it launched Maps, but yeah, this was like Apple's quote-unquote 3D topography that was supposed to be revolutionary for the maps. But the problem is the directions were horrible. Like, Apple Maps was directing people to drive into the ocean, which he may talk about here.
Riddled with glitches and issues, but the fact that it was based on pretty low quality geography data from TomTom led to landmarks that looked straight out of a Marvel Doctor Strange film. Not in a good way. And then even putting the sludgy, melting roads and cavernous ravines in the middle of the street aside, the app was actually sending people to places that don't exist. Like a completely made up airport in Dublin, where many users found themselves just scratching their heads. Not to mention that releasing a Maps app to the world when the software was so far from ready was also dangerous. In Australia, police had to issue a warning to motorists after multiple people were led to a park in the middle of the outback where they were stranded in potentially life-threatening 46 degrees Celsius heat without any water supply. This is a 7, and the situation was serious enough that Apple Maps has become one of the very few times that this company has actively come out and apologized publicly.
But don't worry, this
I mean, if I need to use my navigation, I will use Google Maps instead of Apple Maps, even on my iPhone. 4th gen? Okay, 4th gen iPhone. Okay. Well, yeah, Shadow, you're right, it is still the running name. Hi, Clockwork! Welcome, 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 welcome! A clockwork? A clockwork is not late. A clockwork appears exactly when he is supposed to be here.
plenty of fails to go around, because at number 8 is Samsung. And not for a smartphone like you might expect, but actually a washing machine. Or more accurately, 34 different models of washing machine. And no points for guessing why they had to be recalled. Yes.
They just said they blew up, they caught fire. I'm guessing they caught fire. This is Samsung. It's kind of their thing. Was that tepid wind? Ace? I'm sorry, I don't understand. I don't get it. Oh, Taisel, I'm sorry, your tooth hurts. That sucks. But I'm glad I'm making it feel a little bit better. If Oh, okay. Well, this is Australia. They call it Celsius.
Explosions were involved. Specifically, there was a fault with these devices where the machines would shake so violently that the entire roof of the unit would unfasten and fly off, bruising, injuring, and taking out customers like it was.
You want to know what it is in Fahrenheit? Okay, hang on, I will tell you. So 56 degrees Celsius is 132 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, 132 Fahrenheit. That is what 56 Celsius is.
Some kind of planted military weapon, which forced Samsung to recall millions of units and offer a free repair to fix the loose fastening issue in the top of the unit. But even then, how ignorant do you have to be to design and test 34 different models of washing machine to the point where they're ready to go on store shelves without real?
Yeah, it's the Australian outback. I mean, don't act too surprised, it is the Australian outback. And it's funny he's asking this question about Samsung considering the Note. Like, they had to have designed and tested it. So, it should be surprised that Samsung, their testing is that great. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't buy Samsung phones. Yeah, I mean, I don't buy Samsung phones for a couple different reasons. Number one, their hardware has been questionable in the past, and I don't like the Samsung does not do great in terms of software maintenance either. Oh yeah, the Note thing was purely that, absolutely. But you would think that Samsung would have tested that as part of their quality controls during the creation of it. You know? No, see, Seamus, I don't think the Samsung Note thing required a puncture. The Samsung Note thing, I think the batteries just, there was something going on with the batteries where they would just combust. It didn't take a puncture to cause it. And that was the issue. A lot of the Notes, the batteries were just exploding or burning.
Realizing that they're self-destructing.
Number 7 is the Sinclair C5, and this thing was supposed to revolutionize personal transportation back in 1985. It was a tiny 3-wheeled, one-person bike-car hybrid vehicle with a range of up to 20 miles per charge. And yeah, that means it was electric, well before most people even thought of electric as an option for transport. And sure, while 20 miles might not sound like a lot, the idea was that it was just enough to cover most people's daily commutes in an eco-friendly, affordable manner. The Sinclair was literally $500.
Designed by Lotus, powered by a Philips hairdryer, built by Hoover, and road tested by people who tried hard not to look like a pillock.
Yeah.
Oh, that British humor.
It does look ridiculous. And the enthusiasm died off pretty quickly when people realised a few more things about it. That its top speed of 15 miles per hour meant that you might genuinely get to work faster on a normal bike. That its open design didn't give you any kind of weatherproofing, especially unthoughtful given that it was made for the UK first. And that it didn't have a reverse gear. This is no exaggeration. If you got stuck, you would have to get out your car, go around to the front, lift up the nose and manually turn it around. Imagine the scenes. I'll give it a 7, but just imagine if you got into an accident in this thing. It could have been worse. Well, have no fear, because this next one definitely is. See, back in 2012, when cable TV was still the standard and Netflix was just a baby, a new company called Aereo entered the scene. And they had an idea. Many people still wanted to watch.
I don't know if I'd ever heard of this one. Chat, let me know if you've heard of this one.
These cable TV shows, but they wanted to do so in a way that was convenient for them, as opposed to making sure that they were specifically available when that show aired. And so what Aereo did was rented warehouses, leased thousands of tiny satellite antennas that allowed them to access those cable TV shows, all the main US channels like CBS, NBC, Fox, etc., and then basically recorded them and then allowed their paying subscribers to watch those recorded shows over the internet. And this was really popular with their subscribers. This was genuinely fixing a real-life problem that people had. So how could it go wrong? In the most brainless way possible, of course. Intelligent concept and advanced technology aside, the one key thing that Aereo overlooked was actually securing the rights to redistribute any of the channels they were streaming.
Oh my god. That is... Seriously? No, that you. My phone just activated when I said that. How did they think that they would get away with this? This is not, like, this is not that old either. What? What? Big brain. What 5 brain thought of, oh yeah, we'll just record all of these major news, all of these major channel shows and just rebroadcast them on our network and not consult with them, not give them any royalties. What the fuck? This is easily one of the stupidest things I have ever seen from a company. Yeah, this is complete smooth brain activity. I'm guessing, yeah, they sued them. I'm guessing they sued them into oblivion. Well, I'm guessing that they probably did. And it was like that meme of people standing around a conference table saying, okay, guys, we need a plan. And everybody comes up with really stupid plans. And the one guy goes, are you sure we can do this without securing the rights first? And then that guy gets thrown out the window. Wow. So they got sued into oblivion. The company folded. Jesus.
Which effectively
Actually, this kind of fits right now.
FBI, open up!
earned them a fast-track ticket all the way to the Supreme Court, the
Yeah.
highest federal court in America, where several of the biggest TV networks in the entire country sued them into oblivion for profiting off their products. Aereo had to immediately shut down their services after the case in 2014 and filed for bankruptcy the same year.
All right, we're in
Yep.
the top 5. So you've heard of GMO foods, right? GMO stands for genetically modified organisms, and it's where biologists use genetic engineering tech to edit the DNA of crops to make them more appealing to eat. Like creating tomatoes that can grow larger and last longer on store shelves. But someone
Yeah, Eki, I kind of agree. I think that should be higher than a 7 out of 10 scale. That needs to be like at least a 9 out of 10. At least. That's a fail of epic proportions right there, based on the sheer stupidity alone of that decision making. Maybe. It could be. We shall see.
always takes it too far, like we found out with the company Recombinetics, who apparently found a way to genetically modify the DNA of a cow so that they could grow up without sprouting any horns. Usually, farmers have to remove the horns from their bulls for safety reasons, so this would be huge for both the farmers and the animals. Recombinetics claimed that they'd only done what could already be done through standard breeding practices, just a lot faster. So they argued that their GMO bulls didn't need to be regulated by the US Food and Drug Administration, which is always a little...
You never want to hear this. You never want to hear, oh yeah, you don't need to be regulated by the FDA. That is never a good sign. That's usually an indicator of like, okay, we are about to start we are fucking with genetics here and we are about to start the zombie apocalypse. Kind of scary shit. Wow. This should be good.
Little sus. And of course, when they inevitably did get investigated, we found out why. Turns out, scientists at the company had accidentally spliced bacteria DNA into the cow's genes. And I mean, the fact that they'd unknowingly contaminated the gene pool was already catastrophic.
Okay, I might have been a bit closer than I realized with that joke. I didn't realize how close, how I would actually be a bit closer with that joke than I thought. Bacteria, Shadowclaw. They spliced it with bacteria.
Enough, but the fact that they'd also potentially made them resistant to antibiotics.
Holy shit! I'm getting like I'm getting like this joke is getting more and more frighteningly right the more he goes on here. Like, holy shit, were these guys actively trying to bring about the zombie apocalypse or something through the beef industry?
Would have made them a serious hazard for future cows birthed by them and humans who were gonna eat them. I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10, because once authorities realized what had happened, they had no choice but to kill the animals by incineration to stop the further spread of these genes.
Yeah.
And the violence is only about to...
For 8 or 28 weeks. Or 28 years if they actually make that third one. Oh, well, once it would be a vector for viruses because this was bacterial. So it'd be a vector for bacterial infections, not viruses. Bit different there. Exactly, Snowman. Yeah, Ian Malcolm incarnate right there.
Escalate with number 4. So you've probably heard America has a bit of a gun violence problem, and the debate over the solution is unbelievably deep and complex. So it was equal parts worrying and hilarious when Axon, a company whose mission statement is to protect life, very publicly announced their solution to mass shootings. Let's put police drones with remote operated tasers built into them in high schools.
My goodness, what an idea. Why didn't I think of that?
Don't get me wrong, I applaud them for trying to make a difference, but it's such a tone-deaf idea that you could very easily see actually increasing the levels of violence. The announcement immediately became the laughingstock of Twitter, and then what made the situation even more ridiculous was seeing the backlash. Axon then responded by admitting that the majority of its ethics advisory board actually strongly opposed the project, but that the company had basically ignored them.
Oh, that's not good. when you're admitting that you said fuck you to your own ethics board, that's a good way for your company to get shut down. That's a good way for your company to get invested. Yes, and that's where yes, correct. If they got the mad cow, that was the whole thing is they became shit, I've lost the word. Antibiotic resistant. Yes, but what I was saying, so in the fact that they became antibiotic resistant, yes, it meant that if they came down with something, they couldn't treat it. What I was saying is it didn't necessarily create, with the bacterial DNA infection, might not necessarily create an accelerated or an enhanced vector for viruses. It would be more of an enhanced vector for bacteria, not maybe necessarily viruses, but they were antibiotic resistant, which means God only knows what they could get. Which means their antibiotics to prevent normal livestock diseases might not work. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Maya. And then the tasers on the drones. What parent would be okay with this? To have taser-wielding drones flying around their schools. I mean, it's bad enough. Like, have you guys seen those commercials or you seen the YouTubers that are like that get sponsorships from these companies selling like bulletproof clothing and bulletproof backpacks because school shootings have become so fucking prevalent now that we have to armor up our goddamn children just so they can go to school? Like, this is getting out of fucking control. Like, I'm going off on a tangent here, but then again, when don't I? Just the mass shootings, particularly in the States, and especially in schools, is like in fucking insane. Like the fact that that there's legit marking for armored clothing and armored backpacks for the kids is insane. I remember seeing I think it was a joke was this a joke commercial or not? I can't remember. I can't remember if it was a joke commercial or not. Well, not a joke, but like a quote unquote parody, but in a very sad way, where it was kids were talking about like, my new backpack is great because I can use it to knock someone down if they have a weapon, or these new socks are great because I can use them to tie a tourniquet. It was really fucking sad. And like heartbreaking that we kind of got to that point. I'm pretty sure it was like a depressing parody of it, but it's like I'm seeing these YouTubers shilling for these armored clothing and backpack companies, so it's like, what the fuck? Actually, no, that does not make me feel better that you got shot in the balls with a paintball gun. I don't want anybody to get shot in the balls with a paintball gun, at least without doing something to deserve it first. Yeah, Shadowclaw, you're right. And I'm not going to dig into it further because I could spend the next 5 hours talking about that. So I'm going to move on before I go off onto a tangent.
Which actually makes them look even worse, and led to 9 of the 12 board members resigning in protest, all making this Axon company look like one big joke. You know, maybe if they'd come out with something more like Samsung's washing machines, people might have taken them more seriously. Now, thankfully, Axon's Taser drone never made it to production. But the Russian chess robot did, and much like the K5 robot from before, also managed to attack a child. I get you want to win, but that is too far.
In Soviet Russia, chess robot chesses you. Okay, that was really fucking bad, but I couldn't think of anything better. I think we're gonna find out. My guess is the robot probably grabbed the child's hand.
From the video, it seems like the 7-year-old boy tried to make his move while the robot still thought it was its turn. And so the robot ended up grabbing his finger, squeezing too hard, and fracturing it. And then on top of that, officials from the Russian Chess Federation also had some slightly strange responses to the incident. Like the vice president, Sergei Smagin, kind of blamed the boy, claiming that it happened because he violated the safety protocols.
Stupid kid who committed that terrible crime.
And then I remember the Chess Federation's president made a truly insightful and emotional statement. The robot broke the child's finger. This is, of course, bad.
I mean, it's a Russian response. You gotta give him that. It is a Russian response.
You know, I wasn't sure how to feel before hearing that, but now that I know it's bad, it really cleared things up for me. 8 out of 10 fail. Wait, did I just lose?
Now.
And that is the appropriate response for a cat. Good kitty. Good kitty.
Every now and again, you hear an idea that's just too good to be true.
Like the fact that you can subscribe to this channel for free.
And it usually ends up that that's just because the consequences haven't been thought through properly. And maybe the worst example of this in history is MoviePass, a subscription service that allowed users to see a movie a day in cinemas for only $9.95 a month. Now, considering that that's barely $1 more than the average price of a single movie ticket.
Okay, I can already see why it didn't. You know, considering my guess is the business model was MoviePass was buying movie tickets, probably at a discounted rate. It was probably purchasing movie tickets at a steeply discounted rate. But when the MoviePass itself is only $10 a month, people are easily probably getting, they're watching probably 3 to 4 movies per week, which means MoviePass was probably hemorrhaging money from the moment it launched. If the business model is what I think it is, it would have been hemorrhaging money from the moment it launched, because you do a deal like that to the public and they're going to abuse the fuck out of it from day one. And I have no doubt that's exactly what they did. It's okay, $10 a month for unlimited movies? Great, I'm going to the movies 3 fucking days a week. You think they didn't get the... Well, no, folks. This wasn't that they were broadcasting the movies. It was they were selling... It was like a movie ticket service. So, like, you paid at least as far as I'm understanding, you paid $10 a month, and you could get an unlimited amount of movie tickets. Is what it seems like. Well, yeah. That's the smart thing would have been to put a limit on it, but yeah, the smart thing would have been like 1 movie per week. That would have been the smart thing to do, and they might have been okay.
Ticket, that's an insane deal. Like, if you took full advantage and went to see a movie for 31 days of the month, you'd be saving upwards of 95% on those tickets. MoviePass could have saved more. But wait, slight issue. MoviePass still had to actually pay cinemas to get the tickets. Their profit model was supposed to be that they were offering a deal that was so good that the majority of consumers would buy it and not even feel the need to take full advantage of it, thereby making their money back on the users who used it just once a month, or the ones who just forgot they subscribed and didn't use it at all. Now,
and then the makers of MoviePass forgot that we live in a society. They quickly learned the error of their ways, I am sure.
If that sounds stupid, that's because it is. This profit model was so fragile that even if those users only bought an average of just 1.5 tickets a month, MoviePass would still be spending more paying the cinemas than they were earning from subscriptions. And obviously, MoviePass subscribers were going to book more than 1.5 tickets. People were seeing movies every other day, stocking up on tickets for later dates, and being so careless with what they were booking because it wasn't costing them anything that half the time they didn't even show up to the viewings, leading to MoviePass leaking cash from every angle and pretty shortly filing for bankruptcy. 9 out of 10. Did not see that one coming.
I did. I mean, the moment he mentioned it, I immediately knew what happened. It's I don't know how you couldn't see that coming. Like, you cannot create a business model like that basing it off of how you think society is going to react. Because society invariably is going to prove you, unless you think worst case scenario, when you create a business model like this, you have to think worst case scenario. Because if you think anything else, you're fucked. So if they create that business model where they said, okay, the smart thing to do would have been $20 a month, and maybe try and work out a deal with the theaters where you could get the tickets at like half price through their system, through their service. Maybe, it could have worked, but they didn't.
But MoviePass has got nothing on the stupidity of the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Laboratory. Sorry, what? The Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Laboratory was a playset launched for kids all the way back in 1950. Think of it like those modern-day chemistry sets that you can buy for your home. Except this set allowed children to create and watch nuclear reactions using real radioactive chemicals. It's bad enough what an actual piece of...
No fucking way. Oh my... You said this was 1950s? Okay, someone thought they were living in Fallout before Fallout. Someone thought they were in Fallout. Okay, mods, can we time that one up, please? Yeah. No kidding. It's... This is, more than a little scary. I can't wait to hear how this backfired spectacularly.
Uranium can do to a fully formed adult from meters away, let alone what it can do to
Blood.
kids, physically playing with it, and sometimes eating it. 10 out of 10.
The radioactive material. Oh, sweet lord. I think they said 1950s? Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Let me rewind it.
The Atomic Energy Laboratory was a playset launched for kids all the way back in 1950. Think of it like those modern-day chemistry sets that you can buy for your home. Except this set allowed children to create bad enough what an actual piece of uranium can do to a fully formed adult from meters away, let alone what it can do to kids, physically playing with it, and sometimes eating it. 10 out of 10. And speaking of which, I think our cake is done. So you stick this attachment in. Ow! Kind of demonstrating my own point here. Okay, here it is. Speaking of moments of stupidity, I had one myself not that long ago. I managed to compromise my email account because one of the sites I'd signed into had a data breach. And my personal data, alongside hundreds of thousands of others, just got ejected into public space. Just like I'm about to eject this into my space. Now, this could have been a major problem if it weren't for the Surfshark alert feature, which monitors all the sites you have accounts with, and the moment it detects a vulnerability, lets you know so you can do something about it. And alert is just one small part of the total Surfshark package, which gives you a high-speed, unlimited user VPN, the simplest antivirus I've ever used,
I'm not a fan of someone coming into my chat and saying that I spent my whole life cultivating people to attend my funeral. Not really a fan of that.
Or even $5 a month, it's $2.49, which
kind of rude.
The 7 people I share it with,
at least in my opinion,
works out to 36 cents. So, give it a go. And if you hit the link in the description and use the code BOSS, you'll get it not just for that $2.49 a month price, but also 3 months for free on top of that, fully refundable. You know what, after all that, this is actually a 10 out of 10 cake. I'll take the credit for this one.
Yeah, that's... Now maybe you understand why I called for it. Well, that was certainly interesting.